What's up, bro? Welcome to today's video. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Feeling pretty lonely right now. Feeling very lonely. Been listening to music for the past like 30 minutes. And, you know, I think back then I would look at this loneliness as an issue. I would look at it in an issue from the standpoint of, oh man, like I can't do anything about it, or like it just comes in waves. I'm not in control of this, or, essentially kind of just playing victim about this. Oh man, look at me. Everyone's having fun. Everyone's, with their significant other, with their friend group and whatnot, with their family. And I'm here making videos by myself. Or I'm about to, go to the gym by myself and I'm gonna be productive by myself. Like I had this kind of like negative energy around it. And I think this is why a lot of the times a lot of people, including me, get stuck in this mindset. Look, the message of today's video, what this video I want to be about is about the self-image. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. I had a conversation yesterday with a friend, and one thing he brought up was, I'm not going to get too much into like his particular situation, but essentially he talked about someone who is being stumped by their self-image, that the reason why they're going down this downward slope, the reason why they feel the way they do is because of their self-image, because us all they can think about is the negative, and it reinforces it over and over and over again, which reinforces to the identity that, yep, I'm this type of person. And while he was talking about this, while he didn't particularly say loneliness in particular, just the principle of the self identity was something that I resonated with, because I think, in a way, if you are in the same situation where you don't really talk to a lot of women at all, I think maybe it's because somewhere deep down we have this kind of self image issue of feeling like women don't like us, or that we're not good enough, or that we're not interesting enough, whatever that maybe you've been told before by women, or just what you have assumed about yourself. I know for me, and maybe this is something you can relate to, maybe not. For me, my self image is the successful loner, the person who is successful in a career, successful materialistically, uh, successful financially, but ultimately, when it comes to love and most importantly, fulfilling relationships, that's just something that identity doesn't feel worthy of having. Sure, this identity can talk to women just fine. Sure, this, person can, go out and have drinks and, socialize and whatnot, maybe even have casual sex. But ultimately, when it comes to having that deep, fulfilling relationship, it's something that it doesn't click, it doesn't resonate. And I think ultimately this is why whenever we try to make a change, we ultimately snap back to our original self. It's like, you ever had that feeling where you're like, all right, I'm a change for good. And you do good for the first few days and whatnot. You're doing great. You're doing phenomenal. You do feel a little bit of resistance, but ultimately you feel good. And then you have that one day, just that one day where you slip. That one day you wake up a little bit later. The one day you decide, you know what, I'm not gonna talk to this person today. Even though I said I usually cold approach 10 people today, usually, I'm only do 8 this time. And then slowly over time, you revert back to your image until you get to the point where you hit this threshold of like, oh man, I need to make a change. And then the cycle continues again and again. And you kind of just spiral down back and forth of, just socializing and then not talking to women. You might have a season where you want to talk to women, and maybe you even make an effort to talk to one or two, but then it stops after that. And then the baseline, the excuse that we have in our head is like, oh, I'm lazy, or I have this thing coming up and whatnot. And ultimately, once again, the reason why this happens is because our self-image is low. Our self-image is low, and our self-image doesn't match what we want. I think it's one thing to say that you want to talk to more women. I mean, ultimately, this is what this channel is predicated on. I'm documenting my journey of talking to more women, which in fact, I did actually talk to a girl today. That sounds so, that sounds so like, I've like, hey guys, I've, talked to, no, but essentially the work crush, like this work crush is going to be a continuous saga, but the work crush, it was her and this other new girl that was paired. Not gonna lie, this new girl, I need to talk to her. Like, I need to really talk to her. I'm not gonna lie to you, because we had an interaction, but it wasn't. It was the most unabnormal interaction I've personally ever had. So once again, them two are paired together, and we're working on the same floor. And I ended up going up to them like I was doing my own thing, and I accidentally scared both of them. And they're laughing and whatnot. And I'm just like, oh, my bad, and whatnot. And the new girl, she kind of spoke a little bit of English. And, she still had an accent, but for the most part, me saying like, oh, my bad, was I in the way of, work of you guys' work and whatnot? It's like she understood that. So I was like, okay, she cute. She speaks some English so far from what I can see. You feel me? Like let me try to talk. Let me try to talk and see what's up. So I ended up just doing my own thing. Like they went off to a different section, at least so I thought. I'm working, and then as I'm like emptying out the trash bag, I hear her like come across the corner and go like boo, and like absolutely scared the living dog water out of me. I'm talking about like it. I got so scared that I didn't even like shake like that. Like I didn't even like I think some people have different reactions. I literally just like braced myself like that. It was so crazy, but she did that, and I came out and I was like, bro, I was perplexed. I was smiling. I was like laughing and whatnot. Like, oh, for sure, I'm gonna get y'all back and whatnot. And then I eventually ended up approaching her with like, to basically tell her that on Google. And I was like, oh, you speak a little bit of English? Oh, she's like, oh, a little, poquito, a little bit of English. And then I went back to doing my thing. And I was just thinking like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, I definitely need to talk to her. I definitely need to try to strike up a conversation. I definitely want to approach her again and do that, because honestly, like I said, like I didn't need to approach her the second time, but I ended up just doing it anyway. And I'm realizing that it's getting easier and easier. But regardless, this is straying away from the main topic. I just wanted to say that. But yeah, like you start off having this intention of wanting to talk to girls, and it feels like it drops off. So ultimately, I think when it comes to this discussion, when it comes to us like wanting to talk to more women, I think a lot of the times what people miss out on is the inner work, which is, to be honest, is the most painful and ultimately the most kind of boring work, so to speak. It can be seen as feminine to journal and to, work on your trauma and heal from that, because ultimately it's seen as like, oh, this is the thing women do. Like us guys, we just gotta, go and approach women. And ultimately, yes, like at some point you do need to take action and approach women, but ultimately, if you just take action and if you don't reflect, you're just going to continuously like run into the same problems and potentially just attract the same type of people. I know you probably, if you are talking to some women, or maybe you can look at the women you talked to in the past, you could probably see patterns of like, oh man, I noticed that I attract these type of girls or this and that. And ultimately, I'm assuming that, is girls that you don't really particularly find like attractive, whether it's traits physically or whatever. And because of that, working on, healing could be the solution. And honestly, the way you can split it up is easy. You can a cold approach and, socialize during the daytime, but also work on healing and doing all that at nighttime. So it's like you kind of get but both best of both worlds. Like you get to take action and then reflect to it at nighttime, and then take action again the next morning. Doing that, changing your self-image is a thing, and that's what I want to continuously, that's what I want to push forward. Truth be told, like I think I will eventually, when I get enough experience myself, be able to be in a position where I can give game in terms of like what to practically say, what to practically do. But ultimately, the biggest thing that I want to push and make the foundation of this channel, and my journey and your journey as well, I hope, if you're following along, is to work on the inner, to work on the inner, and to work on your relationship, work on the energy that you have towards women. I think that's a video I want to make on the future of just like, your relationship with women. Like, what is your relationship with women? If not a particular girl, but just women as a whole. And then you can kind of like almost get a feeling. And like right now, like I'm thinking about it, and it's not the best right now. It's a little like, I'll do the shadow work, and I'll definitely get into that later. But yeah, change your self image, man, because if not, you just might run into the same thing continuously over and over and over again, over and over and over again. And that's not what I want, because, you've probably dealt with it for years. I've dealt with it for years. It's time to really push this to the side and to overcome this and just feel worthy. Just feel worthy of talking to women, ultimately talk to more girls, whether you want to date long term, casual dating, maybe you just want to just, bang a lot of girls, whatever the case is. I'm not here to judge what you want to do with these girls. Just feel worthy of it. I just want you to feel worthy. I want you to feel capable. And I want to lead by example. Whoops, kick the tripod. I want to lead that by example. So, yeah, that's going to end today's video. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, energy's a bit low. Still feeling a little lonely. But ultimately, I think I'm just going to hit my workout, just do my routine and whatnot. And then, I might socialize a little bit at nighttime, talk to some like minded people and some groups and whatnot. Definitely a better step up than Omegle, which is what I used to do. But yeah, so all that being said, I will see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.